All right, agency owners, I have a personal question for you, and I want you to answer it honestly, even if it's just to yourself. When was the last time you took a real vacation? I mean, a full week. Phone mostly off, not checking email every 5 minutes, not putting out client fires from a beach chair in Mexico. When was the last time you truly disconnected? You just had a physical reaction to that question. Maybe a sigh, maybe a laugh that was more pain than humor, maybe a knot forming in your stomach. Then this episode is for you. But here's what I really want you to think about. What's the cost of that inability to disconnect? I'm not just talking about your sanity, though that matters. I'm talking about the real business cost. Last month, I spoke with an agency owner in Toronto. Call him David. 15-person team, doing about $2.3 million annually. Solid business by any measure. David told me something that stuck with me. He said, Mike, I haven't taken more than 3 consecutive days off in 4 years. And you know what's crazy? My team is talented, my processes are decent, but everything still runs through me. And then he dropped this bomb. I calculated it out. Every day, I'm stuck in operational mode. Instead of working on business development, I'm probably leaving $2,000 to $3,000 on the table. That's $1 million a year in opportunity cost. $1 million. Because he couldn't step away from the daily grind.
Mike's got the hat, the AI kind. Unlocking power in business you'll find. Cut through the hype, explore the tech. Every week new ideas to check. Allton leads us on a digital quest. AI secrets he'll always invest. Tune in tight, don't miss a beat. Knowledge groove, keep you on your feet. Listen up to the AI flow. Business growth, here we go. Cutting edge insights, that's the plan. With the AI hat, you'll understand.
Greetings, program. Welcome back to the AI Hat podcast, where we explore how to harness the power of AI across all areas of business. And today's episode's a little different. There's no guest. Instead, I'm going to selfishly share my own playbook, my own journey from burnout to breakthrough. I'm giving you the single most important framework I've developed for taking back control of your agency, getting out of the weeds, and eliminating yourself as the bottleneck. Subscribe to be shown how to prepare yourself and your brand for this AI revolution and come out ahead. Let's talk about why you can't take that vacation. That feeling of being trapped is real, and it's the number one symptom of a deeper problem. I'm going to tell you something that might be hard to hear. The problem isn't your clients. It's not your team. It's not even your cash flow. The reason you can't take a vacation is you. You are the bottleneck. Now, before you get defensive, let me be clear. Being the bottleneck isn't a character flaw. It's actually a sign of success. It means you've built something valuable enough that people depend on your expertise. But it's also a structural problem that emerges in almost every successful growing agency, and it shows up in 3 predictable ways. First, there's what I call the sales bottleneck. Here's what that looks like in practice. It's Thursday afternoon. You've got 3 proposals due by the end of the week, a discovery call at 4 p.m., with a potential $15K a month client, and your team is waiting for you to review the strategy deck they've been working on all week. But here's the kicker. Only you can write those proposals. Why? Because every client is unique. You're the one who understands the nuanced questions to ask. You're the only one who can price strategically, balancing what the client needs, what you can deliver profitably, and what the market will bear. Your agency literally cannot grow any faster than you can personally conduct discovery calls, strategize solutions, and write custom proposals. I've seen $5 million agencies where every single dollar of new revenue still has the owner's fingerprints all over it. Think about it. If you can realistically handle 8 to 10 quality proposals per month, and your average deal size is $8K, you've just mathematically capped your monthly new business at 80K. Want to grow faster? Can't, because you don't have more hours. Second bottleneck, creative and strategic decisions. Picture this scenario. Your Facebook ads manager needs a headline for a law firm's personal injury campaign. Your content writer is stuck on the opening hook for a SaaS company's email sequence, and your newest team member, who's actually quite talented, needs strategic direction on whether a client should focus their budget on Google Ads or LinkedIn for B2B lead gen. 3 different people, 3 different expertise levels, but they all have one thing in common. They're all waiting for you. Your creative and strategic insight is your agency's greatest asset, but it's also its biggest constraint. You become the chief idea officer by default. Every creative decision flows through you. Every strategic pivot needs your sign-off. The painful irony, your team starts second-guessing themselves, even on things they could probably handle because they know you'll want to weigh in anyway. So they wait. And while they wait, your clients wait. And while your clients wait, your reputation for speed and agility takes a hit. Third bottleneck is the most insidious: client management. You're not just the owner. You're the ultimate relationship holder. When a client is unhappy, they don't want to talk to your account manager. They want you. When there's a complex question about campaign performance, when budgets need to be reallocated, when something goes sideways, who do they call? Here's where it gets really painful. Let's say you've got 15 active clients. If just one of them has a crisis or urgent request each day, that's potentially 5 to 7 interruptions weekly. Each interruption doesn't just cost the time to handle it. It costs the mental switching cost of jumping between contexts. I worked with an agency owner in Austin who tracked this for a week. She found that client emergencies and questions were pulling her out of deep work an average of 12 times per day. 12 times! She calculated that these interruptions were costing her nearly 3 hours of productive time daily because of the time it took to context switch back to what she was working on. You can't take a vacation because the math is simple. Who would write the proposals? Who would approve the ad copy? Who would handle it if a client gets upset? You've inadvertently built a business that is completely and utterly dependent on your constant presence. Now, if you're like me and every other agency owner I've ever met, you've tried to solve this. You've tried the traditional approaches that every business book and consultant recommends. First approach, throw people at the problem. You hire a project manager to take some of the administrative burden off your plate. You bring in a junior salesperson to handle some of the initial prospect conversations. You add a senior strategist who should be able to handle some of the creative and strategic decisions. Here's what actually happens. Your project manager still needs you to define the strategy and scope for each project. Your junior salesperson can handle the discovery, but they still need you to create the scope of work, determine pricing, and approve the final proposal. Your strategist can execute on campaigns, but when the client wants to pivot strategy mid-campaign, guess who they call? You haven't eliminated the bottleneck. You've just added payroll and created a management layer on top of it. Now you're spending time managing the people you hired to give you more time. It's like trying to solve traffic by adding more lanes. You just end up with more congested lanes. When that doesn't work, you try approach number 2. Systematize everything. You spend 3 weeks creating the ultimate standard operating procedure for client onboarding. You build beautiful proposal templates for different types of clients. You document your creative brief process, your strategy framework, your client communication protocols, and it works for about 6 weeks. Then a client comes along with a unique need that doesn't fit your template, or the market shifts and your pricing model needs updating, or a new team member has questions that the documentation doesn't answer. Static documents can't think. They can't adapt to new situations. They can't handle exceptions or nuance. They're fossils of your knowledge, not living extensions of it. All this digital shelfware, it looks impressive on your Google Drive, but it's not actually reducing your workload. You're still the one who has to maintain these documents, update them, things change, and step in whenever the process hits an exception. So now you're spending more money on people who still need your input and more time on processes that still require oversight. You feel like you're working harder than ever, but you're not any closer to that vacation. If anything, you feel more trapped because now you've got higher overhead and more responsibility. Sound familiar? Everything I've just described, the bottlenecks, the late night, the frustration of trying solutions that only create more work, sounds painfully familiar. I want you to know you're not stuck. There is a clear path out of that trap. It all starts with building a new kind of system. That's why I created the AI Work Buddy mini course. This isn't just another course about AI theory. It's a step-by-step playbook for building your own AI second brain, an assistant you'll train on your expertise in your voice. It's the system that will automate the cognitive grunt work, start clearing your plate, and allow you to finally lead from the front instead of drowning in the weeds. It's the first real step to getting your time back. Learn more and get started today at theaihat.com/workbuddy. Now, let's talk about the new way to solve this. Here's why we need a completely different approach. Not another static template or another person to manage, but something I call the AI second brain, a dynamic, intelligent system that actually learns and adapts. Let me show you exactly how this works by revisiting those three bottlenecks and demonstrating the new way to solve them. Let's start with sales. Traditional approach. You might spend 2 to 3 hours writing each custom proposal from scratch, trying to remember similar clients you've worked with, pulling ideas from different documents, crafting pricing that feels right based on your experience. New approach. With an AI second brain, you finish a great discovery call with a potential client. Let's say it's a growing e-commerce brand looking to scale their paid social campaigns. Instead of starting with a blank document, you save the call transcript, feed it to your AI second brain with this prompt. Based on this discovery conversation and my past successful e-commerce proposals, draft a comprehensive scope of work in 3-tier pricing table. Include my standard campaign optimization methodology, but adapt it for their specific challenges around customer acquisition cost and lifetime value. Your AI doesn't just fill in a template because you've trained it on your best work, your most successful proposals, your pricing strategies, your service descriptions. It actually thinks through the client's specific situation. It pulls from successful approaches you've used with similar clients. It adapts your frameworks to their needs. In 10 minutes, you've got a 90% complete customized proposal written in your voice, using your methodologies, priced according to your strategies. Your role shifts from being the sole proposal writer to being the editor and final strategic reviewer. Here's a real example. One of my clients, a 12-person agency in Vancouver, implemented this approach and cut their proposal creation time 3 hours to 45 minutes per proposal. That's saving them 2.25 hours per proposal. If they write 10 proposals a month, that's 22.5 hours back. Nearly 3 full working days, reclaimed every single month. Now let's tackle the creative and strategic bottleneck. The traditional approach was your team brings you every creative decision, and you're constantly switching them between contexts, reviewing a headline here, approving a strategy there, weighing in on creative direction just somewhere else. New approach, your team learns to collaborate with the AI second brain first. When your Facebook ads manager gets stuck on that personal injury law firm headline, instead of interrupting you, they prompt the AI. Generate 5 compelling headlines for a personal injury law firm's Facebook ad campaign targeting auto accident victims in Dallas. Use Mike's problem agitation solution framework and include emotional triggers that comply with legal advertising standards. Because you've trained the AI on your creative frameworks, your successful campaigns, your brand voice guidelines, it doesn't just generate random headlines. It creates strategically sound options that align with your methodology. Your ads manager gets 5 solid starting points in 30 seconds, chooses the best one or combines elements from multiple options, and only comes to you for final approval on the strongest candidate if you need them to. Same with strategic decisions. When that junior team member is unsure whether to recommend Google Ads or LinkedIn for a B2B client, they can ask the AI, based on our client history and Mike's B2B lead generation framework, what factors should determine whether we recommend Google Ads or LinkedIn for a cybersecurity company with a $15K monthly budget targeting IT directors. The AI provides a structured decision-making framework based on your experience, giving your team member the confidence to make the recommendation themselves. Finally, let's address client management. Traditional approach. Every client email, every question, every request comes directly to you, pulling you out of whatever deep work you're trying to accomplish. New approach, you create an AI filter system. When that inevitable crisis email arrives from a client, you know the one, it's marked urgent, it's 3 paragraphs of emotional escalation, and it's landing in your inbox at 4:47 p.m. on a Friday. Instead of letting it derail your evening and weekend, you forward it to your AI second brain with this prompt. Analyze this client email, identify their core concerns, assess the sentiment and urgency level, and create a structured response plan, including immediate actions needed, stakeholders to involve, and a client-facing response draft that acknowledges their concerns while providing a clear path forward. In 2 minutes, you have a clear summary of what the client is actually upset about, a priority ranking of any real issues raised, a professional response draft that de-escalates the emotion while addressing their concerns, and a task list for your team with specific assignments and deadlines. You've transformed client chaos into organized action items without spending an hour trying to decode what the client really needs and avoiding your own emotional response. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. This sounds great in theory, Mike, but what if the AI gives bad advice? What if it doesn't understand the nuance of a particular client situation? What if it makes a mistake that costs me a client? These are valid concerns, and they're exactly why I developed what I call the H.U.M.A.N framework for AI integration. This isn't about replacing your judgment. It's about augmenting it. H is for harmonize. The AI learns your values, your voice, your business standards. U is for understood. You train your team to collaborate with AI effectively. M is for map. You create clear boundaries for what AI handles versus what requires human oversight. A is for adapt. You iterate and improve the system based on real results. And N is for nurture. You maintain the human relationships that make your agency special. The key insight is this. Your AI second brain isn't making final decisions. It's doing the heavy cognitive lifting, analyzing information, generating options, structuring responses. You're still the strategic director. You're just not doing all the grunt work anymore. Let me give you some real numbers. The Toronto agency owner I mentioned at the beginning, David, after implementing an AI second brain system, proposal creation time down from 3 hours to 1 hour per proposal. Creative review cycles reduced from 5 to 7 rounds to 2 to 3 rounds. Daily client management interruptions down from 12 per day to 4 per day. Time spent on high value activities, strategy, business development, team mentorship, up from 20% to 60% of his week. Most importantly, 3 months after implementation, David took his first real 2-week vacation in 4 years. His team handled everything. No emergency calls, no crisis management from the beach. His agency not only survived, it actually grew 15% that quarter because his team was empowered to execute at a higher level. That's the difference between traditional solutions and the AI second brain approach. You're not just adding another layer of complexity. You're creating a system that actually scales your expertise and multiplies your capacity. Look, I'm not saying this transformation happens overnight. Building an AI second brain takes some initial investment of time and energy. You need to train the system. You need to develop new workflows, and you need to help your team adapt to a new way of operating. But here's what I know. The cost of staying where you are is higher than the cost of change. Every week you remain the bottleneck is another week you can't take that vacation. Another week you're leaving money on the table because you're stuck in operational mode instead of building the business. Another week your team waits for your input instead of growing into their full potential. The agency owners who figured this out first, who learned to leverage AI as a force multiplier rather than a replacement, they're going to dominate the next decade. They're going to win because they have the best technology, but because they've freed themselves to focus on what humans do best: build relationships, create strategy, and lead with vision. If this idea of a second brain, an AI second brain, resonates with you, you're ready to stop being the bottleneck in your own business. The best place to start is with our AI Work Buddy mini course. We'll walk you through exactly how to build and train your first AI assistant, show you the specific prompts that work, and give you the frameworks to start delegating cognitive tasks and cognitive work today. You can learn more and get started extremely affordably at theaihat.com/workbuddy. That's theaihat.com/workbuddy. Don't spend another year trapped in a business you built to set you free. Thank you for listening to this episode of the AI Hat Podcast. Please be sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcast so you never miss an episode where we break down how you can prepare yourself and your brand for this AI revolution and come out ahead. Until next time, welcome to the grid. That's a wrap on another episode of the AI Hat Podcast. I hope you gained some valuable insights and actionable strategies to boost your business with AI. If you enjoyed the show, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with your network. And don't forget to visit theaihat.com for more resources and to connect with me. Until next time, keep innovating, and remember, the future of business is human and it's powered by AI.
This podcast is heard along the Marketing Podcast Network. For more great marketing podcasts, visit marketingpodcasts.net.